everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. So LeakyCon was this weekend in Chicago, and as I mentioned in my last video, they opened it up for about 2 hours on Saturday for anyone in the public to go. So if you didn't have tickets to LeakyCon or anything like that, you could go to the vendor floor and you could meet some of the authors. So me and my friends went downtown and decided to do that. It was really interesting because I knew that there were like 4,000 people at LeakyCon, so I expected it to be kind of crowded or kind of busy or, you know, things going on for there to be lines. But when we walked into the hotel, there's just like normal hotel activity, and then when we got to the floor with the vendors, it was basically empty. Like there was no one there. Apparently there was a Star Kid performance. I don't know. I don't really follow Star Kid stuff. Basically everyone was either at that or I'm assuming they would be sleeping because that was the only program going on. But it was kind of cool to be able to just go into the vendor floor at least and kind of look around and see how things were going on and how things were set up. They had a bunch of booths set out with, you know, vendors obviously. So they had, you know, the DFTBA store and Harry and the Potters and different just geeky things or Harry Potter things set up throughout it. They had this one booth where it said a kissing booth and it had a Dementor inside of it. I just thought that was funny. Basically the first place that we went was the DFTBA booth area just because it was right next to the entrance and it was also really easy to recognize because I could tell all of the nerd fightery things that were there. I got a Lizzie Bennet Diaries poster, which you can kind of see. I saw this poster when they debuted it at VidCon, I think, and I just thought it was really cute, so I wanted to get that. The other thing that I saw that I was like, I have to get this, was the Keep Calm and DFTBA poster, which I'd seen online, I didn't think much about, but John and Hank signed them. And they were telling us that they like signed these like that weekend. They had a bunch of these posters and John and Hank stayed up until like 2 a.m. signing like 100 of them to sell because they're crazy nice like that. But it has a Hanklerfish here on the bottom, so I got really excited about that. I thought it was really nice of them that they stayed up till 2 a.m. because that was on Friday night or Saturday morning. Hank was sick all weekend and he did a concert Friday night, so it's not even like they had to do this, but they decided to anyways because they are great human beings. But I don't know where I'm going to put these posters because I don't have a lot of space on my walls. Those are decisions I have to make. I had already seen online that the Harry and the Potters were selling a bunch of really cool t-shirts. They're Obama t-shirts, so if you're not a fan of Obama, you probably wouldn't be interested in them or find this amusing. But it basically had t-shirts like Nerd Fighters for Obama, and then like the different houses, so like Hufflepuff for Obama or Gryffindor for Obama, and then they had t-shirts that said Voldemort can't stop Obama, which I thought was really funny. They also had an Occupy Gringotts shirt, which I really wanted to get because I thought that was really funny, but it was made so that way it looked like an Occupy t-shirt, so it was like just a white t-shirt. It wasn't like printed, it was like spray painted on, so it looked like it was something I could have made myself, so I didn't want to spend $20 on that. But I got the Nerd Fighters for Obama button, which I really think is funny, but I guess if you're not an Obama fan, this isn't funny. Right next to the Harry and the Potters booth was the Potter Pals booth, but I couldn't buy all of the shirts that I wanted to buy because all of the shirts were basically $20 each, and then that's a lot of money. So instead I was going for buttons and keychains. I wasn't crazy about their buttons, and they just had the buttons of like different characters and like their faces, so it's just like Ron's face or Harry's face in the Puppet Pals style. And then they had keychains, which I really like, so I decided to get a keychain, and I got a Hermione keychain. And I got it because she's reading a book, and the book says boring facts on it. I think that's so funny. So I got this keychain, which I'll be sticking on my keys very soon. And then the final thing that I got, because I had $1 left, I'm going to spend this $1 on something great. There was, what are they called? Geek Badges, I believe? I think that's what they're called. So they had like a huge table that was just like buttons, and then they could change their buttons into magnets or keychains for a little bit more, but I just stuck with the button because I only had $1 like I said. So I got a Hufflepuff button. So that was all the nerdy Harry Pottery type things I got. Like I said, there were a bunch of authors that were there this weekend. I don't even remember all of them that were there, but they just had them all like sitting at a table, and you could bring like one book per author and you could go and sign, or some people were bringing like autograph books or like a poster for them to sign or something like that. So, you know, you could go down the table and just get it signed. I already owned this book, so I just brought this from home and then signed the inside, and it's fun because it says this book is for Rincey and then his signature, and then at the bottom he wrote LeakyCon, so that way you would know where you got this autographed. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it did. The next author I went for was for Maureen Johnson, and I picked up her book, The Name of the Star, which I haven't read yet, but I've heard really good things about, and she has the sequel coming out to this fall, I believe. So I really wanted to read this. It sounds really interesting, but yeah, she autographed that, and then she had her table full of her stare tattoos, which if you follow her on Twitter, you know what this is about. If you don't, then you have no idea what this is about, but I haven't stuck this on me. I just wanted to keep it. I think I might just like tack it to my bulletin board because I find it really funny and just have her stare at me from there. The last author that I went and got an autograph from was Stephanie Perkins. So I got Lola and the Boy Next Door just because that's the one I grabbed out of my purse. Love and Maureen and Stephanie, they weren't sitting right next to each other, so like each time I would go up, they'd be like, oh, your name's so unique, doesn't mean anything. So I would talk to each of them about it. And then when I went up to Stephanie Perkins, she said, you know, basically the same thing. And then she's like, you know, I keep a list of names in my head so that way when I'm writing my books, if I need a character name, you know, I'll use one of those names of people I meet. And she was like, do you mind if I write your name down as a possible name? And I was like, go ahead. And so she like had like a stack of post-it notes next to her. She wrote Rincey on the post-it note and then like stuck it next to herself so that way she would remember it for later. And I was like, this is so awesome. I didn't say that out loud, but then I was basically like, can you kill me in your next book? Because in case you didn't know, Stephanie Perkins and her publishers have announced that along with the next companion novel with Anna and the French Kiss and Lola and Boy Next Door, her book after that is basically going to be like a scary novel. So she said it's going to be like Scream but in book form. And so I was just like, can you kill me in your next book? Which is such a ridiculous thing to say, but then she was like, a lot of people have actually said that to me this weekend, so no guarantees. Keep your eye out. If you see a Rincey in one of Stephanie Perkins' books, you'll know I'm the inspiration behind it. The bookseller that was there is Anderson's Bookshop, which is in Naperville, I believe, and they always have authors coming through there, and they always have like extra copies of autographed books, and so they had a bunch of them. They had Land of Stories there with Chris Colfer's autograph, which I thought was really cool, but I didn't pick up because I wanted to have some self-control. But the one that I did pick up was Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and you know, this one's autographed too, and obviously this one isn't personalized because it's just a general autograph, but I've been hearing just such amazing things about this book, and it sounds so interesting, and I love fairy tellings. I bought that one too, even though I wasn't planning on it. Actually, I went to LeakyCon knowing I was going to bring the Lev Grossman book and the Stephanie Perkins books, and I knew I was going to buy the Maureen Johnson book. So I knew I was going to buy a book, and I just had a feeling in the back of my head that I was like, you know what, I will allow myself one more book on top of it if they have one that I really love. Also, this was the only copy that they had there of Cinder, and it was autographed, so I was like, that feels like fate. So I just picked it up anyways. This one will go to this stack of books that have been growing around me in my room that I need to read very soon. And for anyone who says, hey, you broke your book buying ban again. Yeah, I kind of did, but in my head, my book buying ban is really just like don't buy extra books, but if there's things like author signings, especially if they're authors that I love, I'm gonna want to go to the signing and you have to buy the book. Things like that I consider the exception to the rule, especially because in October there are more authors coming that I kind of want to go see, so I'm going to make that my exception to my rule because it's my rule. If I go, I just buy the one book that they're releasing or that they're promoting and I get that signed and that's it. So yeah, that was just like my minor experience at LeakyCon. It wasn't like I was actually at the con, so I don't really have any real stories about it. I was following all the tweets that were tagged LeakyCon this weekend and the Tumblr posts. It's been really fun watching all of that happen. I think it's also kind of fun when it happens in Chicago because people are like, we're going to Millennium Park to play Quidditch, and I'm like, oh, Millennium Park, and they're playing Quidditch. I don't know why. I find that really amusing and I find that really fun, and I really hope that everyone who was at LeakyCon had a blast. It sounds like it. Based on what everyone's saying online, it sounds like it was amazing as it usually is. Next year it's in Portland, so all of you guys on the West Coast, save up your money because I feel like it's worth it if you're a Harry Potter fan. So yeah, that was it for me this weekend, and then I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I will talk to you next time. Bye! LeakyCon was this weekend in Chicago, and as some of the booths and just, you know, we bought a couple, the first place that we went was the, like, I have to get a poster because it has a Hinkler fish on it. Oh, that was not a good shot.